Well, all the focus went off of third-party candidates when RFK Jr. dropped out, but there's real peril there for Kamala Harris in terms of what remains. Jill Stein was responsible for Hillary Clinton not making it to the White House. Her margin, say in Michigan, was 50,000 votes, and Trump only won by 10,000 votes there. And the whole Trump math is that we know Trump has a ceiling, whether it's 47%, 48%. So he needs to have somebody siphon off votes from the Democratic candidate in order to win by plurality.
The fact that they're still selling this shit is actually pretty funny. And who better to sell it than an old frumpy, I've never been outside of the bougie city that I've lived in my entire life.
Such a typical elitist Democrat looking.
Clearly went to a prep, probably went to an Ivy. It's like,
yeah, they have contempt for the real people.
And not only that, but if you
he's
notice,
gross.
You know, Evan, you said it earlier that they're such losers. And it's like, have you noticed how like socially inept some of these people are? It's like, I can't even understand how they think they can carry on a conversation and be so convincing. Like, to me, this is just catnip for people that are still stuck on the Democratic Party.
Who else is watching MSNBC? But this guy's just, they all have their just same talking point marching orders. He's just repeating, I can't get past his hair.
Well, it's just the media machine is very like self-flattering. It just talks to itself. It's like it's this. I don't know. It's so surreal, and it's like a spectacle. Who are they talking? They're talking back and forth to each other. And apparently, Morning Joe, this program, was one of Joe Biden's like favorite. It's his like favorite daytime show. Like, you know, Trump has Fox and Friends or something, and then Kennedy.
Morning Joe.
And then Morning Joe for Joe. It's just so bizarre. It would be cool to like time travel back to like, I don't know what, 55 and just see like just something. It's just, we are in a strange, surreal, weird world with just the constant media stream.
You know, the other thing that I noticed that I'm sure you guys noticed in much greater detail when you were in Chicago, you know, the media used to have like a separate area where basically that's where they would stay, and they were covering the event, they were covering the speakers, and what did they have to say? The politicians and the media, they're all friends.
Yeah, no, it's
they're
all intertwined now. It's like a giant
incest.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very incestual.
I went up, so part of my volunteer job, I was able to go up into some of the suites, and it was just crazy seeing donor suites mixed with corporate suites mixed with media suites all in the same area. And I think that illustration to me was part of that was like a little crack in my epiphany that
the same people. It's the same people own it, right? Like, so the same people that own the media are the same corporate donors for the candidate. So it's all the same. It doesn't matter. But what I also see is a generational thing. This guy's got to be 70s, and he is made up and hair dyed and eyebrow dyed to look younger. And these are the kinds of people that they have to sit here and basically
try to sell it.
Yes, look how old this guy is.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
It's got a nice tie, though. I'll give him that.
I like the tie. I like it's got like
having lived
sparkly.
Yeah, I used to live in DC, and I wasn't like in political circles, but I knew lots of people that did.
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, no, I said you were making a documentary, right?
Oh yeah, well, I was making a documentary, but it was kind of outside the political realm. It was about something else. But I worked in fine dining for a little bit, and so a lot of the places where I worked, these people would come in, and there's just I don't know. It's just like, it does feel like you're in some sort of enclosed area in a kingdom or something.
It's very insulated.
People are so easily flattered by credentialism and exclusivity, and it's so seductive for people. I think maybe less and less is it seductive for people, but you know, there's still the strivers that go there and want to be like, you know, climbing.
They all want to be in the club. Look, that's the problem with AOCP, is wanting to be in the club.
Right.
And that's how you do it. You know, this guy. All right. It's so hard for me to stomach
we'll
this.
finish it. We'll finish it.
And Jill Stein being on the ballot in all the swing states, but Nevada, is really in a position when we know that the swing states are going to come down to 1.
Go.
And why isn't Jill Stein on the ballot in Nevada? Well, guess what? There's a reason she's not on the ballot in Nevada. It's because the Democratic Party, led by, as I always like to say, scum-sucking attorney Mark Elias in D.C., they spend millions upon millions of dollars to hold up ballot counts.
And by the way, in every state, the Greens spend their entire time. You want to know, Alex,
why the parties can't grow?
Why they can't grow and why they can't like really spend time on other things? It's because they have to spend all their money, all their time defending their right to be on the ballot from predators like the lawyers for the Democratic Party.
So when you're at a convention and they're saying we must save democracy, yes, we must save democracy from you. That's what we need to do.
2% margins.
Without Ralph Nader taking a couple of percentage points from Al Gore in 2000, and Jill Stein taking a couple of percentage points from Hillary Clinton in 2016, Democrats would have won the Electoral College. Well, they won the popular vote 7 of the last 8, but minus those two, like third-party spoiler candidates, no Republican would have been elected president since 1992.
With his name on his
Absolutely right. And it's not only the Stein threat, but Cornel West is on the ballot in Wisconsin and Michigan, North Carolina and Georgia.
That's my guy. That's my candidate. That's who I support. That's my monthly support.
Yeah, okay, because you spoke earlier, Jen, about just like, these guys, they all just trade jobs every once in a while. Joe Scarborough, wasn't he a representative from Alabama?
No, Florida, Congressional District 2 in Florida. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Florida. And then
but Congressional District 2 is called Floribama. So that area is
Tallahassee area.
Yes.
And then Mika Krasinski, she's like the daughter of a former Secretary of State or something like that.
Yeah,
that's correct.
These are it's like sitting there, and now I feel like the Obamas and their Martha's Vineyard mansion are in the same crowd. It's like we're watching all of these people just sit there and get wealthy, and yet people still idolize them and pay them and listen to their opinions as we're basically watching them get richer and richer and richer.
Carlin said that it's a big. Yeah, Carlin said it's a big club and you ain't in it.
I watched that today.
It's a small club and you're not invited. That's the thing.
You're not invited unless you're on the Davos invite list. You don't count.
Like there was, I'm not going to name the person's name, but let's just say that there is a guy who was down here in Miami. He is a rabid effing Zionist, and he's an attorney in D.C. now. And he had a huge platform, like some of these people, Evan, that I'm sure you ran into, like the Harry Sissons of the world, that I called that little SOBL before. But his father was way high up in the political sphere. There is a lot of nepotism. Especially they complain about the nepotism with the Trump family. That is nothing compared to the nepotism overall within the whole system and how these people get these big platforms and these big jobs. It really is about who you know. And if you know the right person,
it was a total anomaly that I ended up where I was in politics. Even the very first, and I actually told this to Glenn Greenwald the other night when I was on his show. Even the very first campaign I ever did, Barack Obama's, when I was 17 years old, I remember saying that the other interns on that campaign, most of them, the majority of them, 98% of them probably, were the children of donors or had family political connections. And I remember being told by campaign staff, to be sensitive around them or to not say things that could upset them. And even as a 17-year-old, I felt like that wasn't fair and that they were being given preferential treatment. And over and over and over again, working on campaigns, I would see this common theme. Majority of the people, even on progressive campaigns, to be honest with you, are people that come from families with social safety nets, that are like overly educated, that it's very hard to find like true working class representation on
not on the left, not
the journalism field is the same way. Like
even on the left, even in the very far left, it can be hard with campaigns I worked on. I saw it all the time, and they went to like very really good schools, and their parents were donors too. And so, you know, it's across the board actually. And
I think the best example that I can give, and I do not hold back on this because she threw a good friend of mine under the bus, Emma Vigeland is a prime example, and she's on the Sam Cedar podcast. She comes from a very upper class family in North Jersey, and she and her family are like this with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. Right. So as far as I'm concerned, there's a way that I'm not saying that there isn't ones who make their way in and are successful. Right. Glenn Greenwald would be a great example of somebody who's just a phenomenal journalist, and he has stood on principle forever. Kudos to him for doing that, but that's a rare case. You know, Emma Vigeland is somebody.
He's like a class trader, you know?
Yeah.
Which is why I love him. but yeah, I mean, but it's the problem isn't just that it's like this unjust thing, right? Mm-hmm. That like working class people don't get these jobs. It's also a problem in that the party, the priorities and the messages that are shaped by the party are defined completely by these people that are from the coast, that are from Ivy League backgrounds, that have donor parents, right? And so the people that even make up and comprise the Democratic Party are not able to relate to the issues that regular people are going through.
Agreed.
So it's like a whole other layer of problem on top of just the fact that in order to even run for Congress, you have to be wealthy, or you have to know lots of wealthy people, as I'm sure you figured out, Jen, in your campaign. You know, like I'm trying to do call time, raising money. It's extremely difficult, you know, unless you already have those resources built in. So it's just like this whole other layer of just locking out working class representation from the Democratic Party and keeping them even further removed from the reality of regular Americans.
And you know where they're going. They're going over to the Republicans. That's where they're going.
And there was a bunch of endorsements today, I think, from even more like GOPers? The neocon early 2000s Republicans. Yeah.
Listen, I can remember doing call time for Jen back in 2020, and talking to big donors, even San Francisco donors, who are like, I cannot stand Wasserman Schultz, but I will not donate in a Democratic primary. And I believe the reason they do that is because everyone keeps an eye on where all the donors are putting their money. And if you start putting your money into primaries, you're not going to be invited to the cocktail parties in Georgetown anymore.
Yeah.
And to them, that type of shit really matters. And so it is unfortunate, but that's
like a social status blackmail kind of thing.
100%.
Yeah. But these are not people that are in this for a mission or have a cause or really care. These are not people. So, you know, when we say, oh, they just don't have a backbone. Well, they don't, but that's not the problem. The problem is they don't care. You know, it would be a backbone problem if they cared and just kept their mouths shut.
That's why they want Kamala Harris to win. They want the status quo to remain. They're comfortable and they're happy in their lives. The stock market is doing well. Yeah. To somebody like my grandmother, she doesn't even pay attention to the stock market because it doesn't affect her at all. Same with my mom. Same with everyone in my family. I mean, it's like, it's just absurd. So
90% of the stocks are owned by 10% of the people. And that just goes
which is why it's not an indicator of our economic prosperity.
Which is exactly why it doesn't impress me when Kamala Harris talks about getting endorsements from Goldman Sachs.
Okay,
not by other CEOs. It's like, how disconnected from the average experience can you possibly be?
Oh, yeah.
Very. All right, let's finish this.
Oh, he makes me feel
And so there's a double threat there. We do know that Biden in 2020 was able to actually increase his margin while Trump's margin stayed the same as 2016, meaning Biden's increased margin over Trump probably came off the back of not having Stein on the ballot in 2020 and getting that share of third-party votes.
Imagine being so proud of corrupting the entire electoral process.
Like they really just, they focus on, that's how they, you know, people say Republicans are suppressing the elections and suppressing votes and doing that, but they are, but so are the Democrats. They just do it different ways. You know, they do it with all these legal challenges.
Can I just say that guy definitely goes to sleep about 7 o'clock at night? I don't know. I just kind of